6.5.
What, are you rating my burp?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Fair. I accept the judge's decision.
How do you even judge? Is it like just volume? Is it like length?
Girth?
There's the length of it. There is the depth of the tone. Resonance comes into play. There are a lot of factors, JJ.
Okay. I'm not. I don't attempt or even claim to be an expert, so I will leave it to the professionals, of course.
We Were Gamers, episode 122, where we class it up.
Like we do every episode, Andrew, really.
It's gotten better. I mean...
Nowhere to go but up.
Welcome back. There's JJ.
Hello.
Michael.
Hey, friends.
And Andrew's here as always. We're going to talk some games today. I know we don't do it all the time. Sometimes we get way off track. A la last episode, I think we didn't get to games until about 20 minutes in.
There were games last episode?
I don't think so. I don't remember. It doesn't really matter. But it's been a fun weekend. I played a lot of Fire Emblem. I don't have much to report other than that I love tactics games. I went from MechWarrior to this, and I probably will go right back to another one afterwards. I didn't realize this about myself until recently.
Hey, man, you found what you like, and that's rad.
Isn't that what this whole podcast is about?
Doing what you love?
Helping people find the games that they should be playing with the limited time that they have.
I mean, can you just take over hosting? Because I've been trying for
like
120 episodes to lead in a podcast.
Welcome back to We Were Gamers, a podcast about self-discovery.
All right. Well, that was... and you know what? That's a lie. That's not the only thing I played. I think that if you're not really in the know anymore on it, JJ and Michael, I don't think you even own Overwatch, right?
I mean, wait, yeah, I paid for it a while back.
No.
I did not.
Yeah, Michael doesn't own Overwatch.
Oh, yeah.
That was a run-on sentence.
See, I couldn't see your comma splice there, so I didn't know.
Mm-hmm. If I've learned anything about commas, they are the most important thing in the Constitution of the United States of America. Anyway, Overwatch had an event recently, some soda-themed thing for Diva, and you had to watch some Twitch, and you had to, which was coincided with their World Cup.
Okay.
Yeah. Which might still be ongoing. I don't know. Go USA. They made it to the final rounds of that.
Nice.
You could get a skin though if you played 9, or if you won. Let me be clear: won 9 games. I learned some very hard lessons, and I also learned some stuff about Overwatch that you might be interested in, JJ.
Yes.
1, don't do your placement matches when trying to win a quick amount of games.
Yeah, probably. That's going to rank you in a place where you don't want to be.
It has nothing to do with the rankings. The competitive matches are quite long, and considering that they are trying to peg your skill level, unless you're really good, you probably win about half of them.
Sure, I guess that makes sense.
So in the amount of time it took me to win 4 games, I could have easily won 9 if I had done just quick match.
I mean, I guess I would have never bothered with the competitive stuff like I really never have in the past anyway, so it never would have occurred to me to try to do that. But that's a good tip.
Well, since you and I have been playing, we dropped off quite a bit. They've changed quick match a lot. You don't... Yeah. You don't do the roundabout like you do in competitive mode. You know how quick match used to be, okay, well, you try to capture the point, then they try to capture the point, right?
Right, yeah.
They moved that to competitive as well, and then they were like, well, this quick match thing doesn't really have a place anymore, so you know what we're going to do? One side tries to capture the point. That's the end of it. Win or lose.
So you just randomly get to be offense or defense every time you click that thing, and you don't have a...
Exactly, yeah.
That kind of sucks.
Well, yes and no. Turns out if you're somewhat decent at the game now, quick match has gone from... complete S show to just kind of like people getting in quick games, and a lot of them are just horsing around, you know. So if you're decent at it, you can get some wins, and I did. So I got that skin, and I just thought it would be interesting for people to know that kind of like fell off of Overwatch like we did because of the time commitment sometimes, that the quick match games are pretty fast. And some news out of that I saw on the little ticker there is that ESPN and ABC have signed a major long-term deal with Overwatch to air them next season, and they're adding something like 14 professional teams.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Okay, that's a lot of teams. I get that. Does it seem bad that they're expanding the league by more than double the size of the current league? Isn't the current league only like 10 teams or something, and now they're more than doubling it in the second season?
I think is it 8 per conference, so there's 16?
Oh, are there 16 already? All right, that's like less concerning, I guess.
I think I might be wrong. I don't know. I stopped
very nearly doubling it, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, they're adding a lot of teams, and I get your point. Like, they should expand more slowly.
Well, you know, like if you want to draw the real sports analogy that they seem to be very keen to want to do, doesn't it sure seem like they're adding a lot of teams, which real sports leagues don't do?
Well, real sports leagues are at like 32. They've already capped out their markets, basically, right?
Okay, I mean, I guess that's fair.
There's also a much smaller barrier to entry, right?
Well, and
adding
if you're
an esports team compared to a physical sports team.
If you wanted to draw the comparison directly, this would be like the AFL merging with the NFL.
Yeah, I guess, in that there's like a large pool of players and they're just like sucking up more of them into the top level.
Yeah, you know, they add a bunch of teams, but there's really no other Overwatch league to suck up.
Yeah. I don't know. It just seems like a lot to me. I mean, maybe it's good. I assume there are people that are still watching this thing, so in which case, great, I guess. More of that for people who want it.
Enough for them to invest this much more, so interesting. I just thought it was interesting information.
Yeah, cool. I mean, you know, like I said, I don't really have a horse in that race, but I'm happy for people that like it.
Right on. Well, that's enough about that. Who's got next?
I can go. I finally, Andrew, I got to the end of a game. Michael, do you remember?
Saw some credits?
I saw credits, yeah. Man, are they really long credits? Holy smokes.
You know, there's an achievement in BattleTech for watching the credits.
I know. I got it early on because you can just click on the credits button and then go away.
Oh, I did it accidentally because I wanted to see my name in the
backer section?
In the back section, yeah.
Yeah.
That's always fun.
I fast-forwarded to mine.
Oh.
But I finished, I saw the end credits of Yakuza Zero. I didn't do everything. And there is so much if you wanted to do everything. But I did do some of the cool things, like I unlocked the additional battle style for both characters, which involves doing some lengthy minigame stuff. And that is very cool, man. I will say that story really goes some places, and it is like watching action movies. Every time you get a cutscene, you're like, oh man, something cool is going to happen. This guy's going to jump out of a window and punch this guy, or he's going to throw a table at him, or someone is going to betray someone and shoot at him. It's just like every time you expect the most like cornball crime movie gangster stuff to go on. It was very entertaining.
That's how you know a game has done their cutscenes right, is when you look forward to them and you're not just like, yeah, give me back to the gameplay.
Yeah. And, you know, all the actors are putting in good performances. I suppose it helps if you like Japanese movies and Japanese acting style, I guess.
I mean, classically or modern, or I mean, because
these guys
love me some, Seven Samurai and.
Sure, this is more of like, I don't want to say like classic, like that classic, but maybe more like the battle royale tradition of like cool Japanese dude trying to do cool stuff all the time.
I see.
There's definitely a lot of like guys leaving one-liners and then like turning around and then someone running up and punching him across the face or whatever. It's like, how dare you do this to me? And then like them running up and knocking the other guy through a table.
Right.
Anyway, that game is a lot of fun. If you can stand the lack of English voice acting and the Japanese weirdness of that game, it is very fun. That's my recommendation there. And like I predicted in the last episode, I think, I started up Dragon Quest XI, which is great. So far, anyway, I enjoy that there's a slider where I can just take the sound and just turn it all the way down to 0 for the music and then play whatever else I want over top of it.
Those 8-bit beats get a little repetitive after a while.
And it's not even the music is bad, it's that it's repetitive. Oh my god. For a game that's like 100 hours or something, supposedly, why is the overworld theme like 2 minutes long and then looping?
So you just have a different audio pet peeve. Like my audio pet peeve. Oh, I oftentimes turn off music when it gets repetitive, like battle music especially.
And this is extremely that.
Yeah.
But I do. It's true. That is the bigger peeve as opposed to the one that I thought I was going to have going in,
which was
the MIDI orchestration.
Okay.
And you definitely can still hear that though. It is like it sounds 8-bitty for sure. And you're like, why couldn't they just do this music with a proper? Oh well, I guess it doesn't matter because I'm just turning it off. It's like they don't even have like you get into a boss fight and then there isn't different music. It's the same battle music, but it like loops a little longer. It's like an extra minute long instead of the normal short battle theme. Why? Is he not special enough to have his own music? He seems like a guy that's going to be in this game for a while. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong about that. But gosh. That said, actually playing it is very fun. And, I guess this is worth bringing up. Do you guys ever use those auto battle options that are in these kinds of games?
Oh.
Sometimes.
I use them in Bravely Default quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Because that style of game, I believe Octopath has a roughly similar system. The new system that Square has where you can kind of mortgage your turns to do more damage up front, random battles become a lot simpler. You develop a kind of a 1 KO combo.
Right.
And I have turned them on for those types of games, as well as like Final Fantasy, I think it was 12, where you could automate the characters running around and doing battles and things like that.
That game in particular has quite a lot of automation.
Yeah. So Final Fantasy 12 is one of the few that stands out of ones where I've actually sort of used the auto to just run on itself. Because normally I don't find them to have enough customization options. Right? A lot of the old school ones, you'd set on auto battle and all your characters would just attack, which, is fine if you have a bunch of tanky characters, but if you've got a balanced team or a bunch of mages, then auto attack is going to take all day or they're just going to get wiped out.
Right. So I will say this game has an auto battle built in, and by default, all of the party members except the main character start under some form of auto battling. They don't follow your menu commands unless you go set them to do that intentionally. And I have found the modes pretty helpful. Like I just leave it for most of the random battle, well, not random, but like most of the battles out in the world or whatever. I just leave it on, computer control I think that they call the modes like fight wisely, don't use MP, follow orders, go all out, and I forget, there's another one for like focus on healing or something.
So that sounds to me like the Secret of Mana options.
Yeah, maybe.
Where you could, there was I don't remember if it was a grid or if it was a slider, but your other two characters were computer controlled normally, and you could swap between them, so you were always controlling one, but you could set their battle style, is what I think they called it. Yeah. And you could make them more aggressive or more,
Yeah, Yeah, you could definitely do it on a per character basis. So if you want to have everyone follow orders and use menu commands or whatever, and you can, and you can set them like, hey, when you get the pep power, which is like your overcharge state or whatever, you can tell them, hey, don't use any of these special moves. Just keep doing whatever, so that you can then take control and use the fancy moves in the right time or whatever. I enjoy it. It's not very difficult. But sometimes, it's okay, right? Sometimes it is a nice, just, hey, relaxing game. Everything is really cute. All the monsters have puns in their names. If you like dad jokes and puns, this is the game for you.
There's a bigger existential question there about, should we really be doing busy work at this point that needs to be automated because it's busy work, or is that just part of the genre?
It is pretty cool, though, I will say, when you get the right sequence of spells to line up or whatever, and you get that huge crit hit, and the enemy goes flying backwards and has a big sound effect. It is still fun to watch the numbers fly off their heads.
True.
Yep.
Good game overall, though?
Yeah, so far. Like I said, I'm only a collection of hours in here. They're still generating new stuff. I just got another party member, so I'm guessing there's a few more yet to come.
Guess that makes it my turn. Cool. JJ, just something for you to look forward to. I'm getting very close to the end of second chapter.
This is it's such a tease, man.
I really want to talk about Trails in the Skies.
I'm not one to talk, considering it took me 6 months or a year or Bravely Default on this podcast, but
so I'm in the finale. It might be far enough for you to talk about twists, but I'm sure there are a few more in this last segment here.
You just get to the end, and then we'll talk about it.
Nice.
I'm excited for that.
So that'll be coming up. But something new that I have done this past week. Have you guys heard about Wolverine: The Long Night?
It's a podcast, right?
I don't know what that is.
So, yes, it is a podcast, sort of.
An audiobook, but a podcast or something?
It's a scripted podcast put out by Marvel in conjunction with Stitcher.
So the return of the radio drama.
Yeah, exactly. I was just going to say, it's like a radio drama a la, Buck Rogers or The Shadow or whatever.
Yep. So nice. It's a 10-part radio drama that has been out for a little while now, I think. I think they released it to the Stitcher Premium platform. So if you had an account that you paid for, you could listen to it. But last week, they just released the first 2 episodes in wide release.
Are they going to continue releasing them, or are they trying to bait you into that Stitcher thing?
I think they're going to continue releasing them. I guess I'll know by the time this podcast airs. We'll know whether there are more episodes forthcoming, but I think they're going to release the whole thing.
Cool.
So is it like... So it is like an audio drama, right? They have characters and there's a plot or whatever, and then it just ends on a cliffhanger or whatever into episode 2.
Yeah, basically. So it starts out with a boat washing ashore on just outside this tiny little Alaskan town, and all the crew is found dead on the boat.
Uh-oh.
And because it happened in international waters, these 2 special agents show up to investigate the deaths of the crew.
Okay. That sounds cool.
Yeah. I'm into this kind of thing. I just haven't had the time yet. And it sounds like we should maybe... Well, I hate to say we should wait, because they need the views to keep doing stuff like this. But also, it feels like we should wait until more comes out.
Yeah. So
it's... Go ahead.
Did they make an announcement or anything about this? I've never even heard of this.
I only heard about it because I listened to a different podcast, and they did an ad spot for it.
I know what podcast you're talking about.
You probably do. Shout out LeVar Burton Reads.
Yeah. That's a good podcast.
It's a very good podcast.
Okay. Well, that's cool. I would never have found out about this, so thank you for spreading the word. Because I listen to podcasts. As a podcast listener, you listening to me should also be listening to podcasts.
Yeah, exactly. I was thinking about this in a sort of meta way. Podcasts, I know, are something that we all listen to, but we don't really talk about other podcasts besides our own.
True.
Yeah. I guess I feel like the stuff I listen to besides this is pretty boring. I listen to some gaming ones. I listen to Wait, Don't Tell Me on NPR. I listen to an F1 podcast. I guess that's probably the most unique one.
Oh, cool. Well, so should we all try and pick our most unique podcast real quick?
Sure.
Well, I'm surprised you didn't list All Systems Goku in there.
All Systems Goku is, it seems to be on hiatus. So, yeah, that is great also, but you need to have some, it's a pretty strange intersection of stuff there. You really got to be interested in Dragon Ball Z to like All Systems Goku.
I'm going to shout out Hello from the Magic Tavern then.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one, too. I have fallen way off the wagon on that one, but man, I like that podcast a lot.
Yeah, improv podcast about a magical world, kind of like Middle Earth, but way crazier because it's all improv.
Yep. The commitment to the lore in that podcast is strong, and I'm here for it.
I can't believe they managed to make a show Bible for that, because
I know,
just
right?
Gets out of control.
They just make stuff up and then have to carry on with what the person made up about them in the last episode.
There's definitely a lot of
40 more episodes.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, didn't we say this earlier? And someone was like, yes, we did. Who said we didn't say that? That's a great one. What about you, Michael?
So I already talked about LeVar Burton Reads, which, if you don't know, Reading Rainbow for Adults. It's LeVar Burton reading short stories, all fiction.
That's pretty cool.
But probably, I don't have a ton that I listen to really regularly, a sports podcast here and there. But the most unique one now is probably this new one. Just because of the format of it, the fact that the whole thing is a scripted story rather than, a podcast where people sit down like us and talk about something.
There, a few of those types of things have existed, like Welcome to Night Vale and a couple of other...
I was just about to say that one.
Yeah. Radio dramas, but they've all definitely been kind of grassroots radio dramas. I can think of, what was it, Magic Adventure Time, or... There's definitely a pretty big one with Aubrey Plaza and a bunch of those people that were doing shorts. Like each episode was a different thing and weren't connected. This is definitely the biggest company I can think of throwing it back behind radio drama. Superman might even have more episodes of radio drama than television. Still.
I'd believe that.
Yeah.
And they, for this one, Marvel went out and got some names that you've definitely heard of to do the recording on this. Mm-hmm. So like Wolverine is voiced by Richard Armitage.
Oh, okay. I know him. That's very cool. Yeah, man. I can't think of too many like big names that have gotten into the podcast sphere other than your typical media and news organizations. It's not a lot of big media properties coming out and doing podcasting for whatever reason. I know there are a lot of actors that go around and do on other actors' podcasts and stuff. Like comedy also is pretty big in that scene. Mm-hmm. But I'm not too plugged into those worlds, so I guess I don't follow it that close.
I don't know why, but I can't get a picture of Fred Armisen trying to do Wolverine out of my head. I know you said Richard Armitage, but that's what popped in when you said it.
That's a look.
Be some interesting acting. I don't know.
Yeah.
I know that it's probably that time, considering Monday Night Football has ended, but I didn't want to cut it off too early if anyone had any other news-type stuff that we wanted to throw out there before the end of the gaming part of the podcast here.
Oh, I have been keeping up with Magic the Gathering Arena a little bit. Have you had any chances to play, Andrew?
I have definitely fallen off quite a bit, much like Gwent, which I can't remember the name of right now off the top of my head, so that's not a good sign. Magic might have more piqued my interest in terms of coming back to it, but there's definitely nothing that, like, Hearthstone treadmill style, like, I gotta keep earning stuff or I gotta get in.
Especially since there is a permanent account wipe coming at some point.
Yeah, that's probably part of it.
But I'm still enjoying playing, and they, this week, I guess, are doing they've been doing pretty well with rotating in new, like, weird modes.
I would love to be clear that I still like that game a lot. I've always liked Magic, and I'm glad that there's going to be a way that I can play it, and not in the big collection sense like the other version of that game that they own.
Sure, yeah. You don't need 800 years worth of Magic cards out there.
Right, exactly. So it just hasn't sucked me into it yet as a platform.
And I think hopefully they're working on that stuff. It's missing a lot of, like, important features like a friends list and the ability to play against friends.
Yeah, that would get
specifically.
Me into it.
But they have been more recently been doing a lot of weird modes, like kind of weekly. They rotate through, like, kind of a new, kind of unproven mode. They've done that singleton mode where you can only have one of each card. They've done a mode where it's pauper, which is commons and uncommons only. And this week they're doing a new mode called Momir, which I had never heard of and was completely confused by, but apparently this is a thing that has existed in Magic Online for forever, and is some kind of weird legacy thing that I don't understand how it was supposed to have worked initially. But the way it works is there's this, they call it an emblem. Basically, it's like an uninteractable power that both players have to discard a land from your hand, then tap as many lands as you want, and summon a random minion of whatever mana cost equal to the number of lands that you tapped. Your deck is required to be only lands, and the only thing you can do is this guy, and then any powers on creatures that show up.
That seems pretty random.
You have no control over what shows up.
It's completely random. So if you pay
it's
2
just
mana
at the level of what you've tapped.
Yep. If you pay 2 mana, you get 2
colors that you have chosen in your lands, or what?
Yeah, you will get a random colored thing. So, you want to think about, well, which creatures have activated abilities or whatever, and then maybe I want to skew towards that direction in terms of land.
Okay.
And then, if I'm tapping 8, how many 8 cost guys even exist, right? Or 9 or whatever. But since you have to discard a card from your hand, your hand is getting smaller as time goes on, and you have to play land out to get the mana to get to that point, right? So at some point, you're just, like, discarding whatever land is in your hand in order to play new cards, and then your hand size goes away, and you can't play more land to get up there. So at some point, you have to not do... Anyway, you have to skip turns at some point, right, if you want to get to high mana cost creatures. It's been very fun so far, and I want to shout that mode out because it is really weird and very, very uncontrolled, unlike the rest of Magic, right? Because it's just pulling random from the pool that exists.
Do they allow you to get daily rewards and stuff like that from those modes?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's a good draw if they continue to do weird stuff that allows you to still get your rewards in, right?
Yeah. In the past, they've done other weird modes where, like, oh, you can play 2 lands a turn, or, hey, all life gain is doubled and everyone starts at 40 instead of 20. Or, oh, there's... Yeah, like I said, there was the pauper one where you can't have any rares or above, or the singleton stuff. So they've been trying out different stuff. So hopefully they continue doing that. And They're teasing some kind of announcement of something on the 19th, which will very probably be the new set of cards, but who knows? So anyway, I just wanted to shout that out because it's fun, and I like that game.
Sweet.
Okay.
Awesome. Let's do some socials before we get into the end of week 2 of fantasy football here.
Well, if people want to email us, that could be at podcast@wewergamers.com, a real email address that we read. And if you want to tell us about some sweet games or a better version of some weird magic thing that I don't know, that is the email address to send it to. We are also on Twitter and Instagram @WeWereGamers and Facebook.com/WeWereGamers. So hit us up on all those places. Please subscribe to our podcast wherever fine podcasts are found.
Yeah, tell us what other podcasts are out there we should be listening to.
Absolutely.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good one.
Absolutely.
I always have room on this scrolling list of podcasts to add new things.
I haven't hit critical mass yet, so keep suggestions coming. All right, week 2, fantasy football, Rantasy Football. It's Ryan Fitzpatrick's league, and we're all just swimming in it.
Fitz magic, man.
That's true. Something has got to be in the water in Tampa Bay.
It's all in the beard.
Ooh,
that picture of him, if y'all haven't seen it, you need to go look that picture up on ESPN or Twitter or wherever you find it, of him. He said he borrowed that outfit from Deshaun Jackson, first off.
Of course he did.
That makes sense. And also, I didn't know they were the same size.
Yeah, who knew, right? Also, everyone on the internet is saying he looks exactly like Colin McGregor.
Yeah, a little bit. He definitely looks like he could be an MMA guy.
Yeah.
I thought there was no way that there was going to be a better meme all season than the Eli Manning face from this week's game.
That was pretty epic.
And the only thing I see on Twitter is Fitzmagic.
It's so good. And that Eli face is top 5 Eli faces for sure.
Top 3.
It's so good.
Yeah, that one is worth looking up as well. And while we're on the lookup train, also this week saw the first maybe drop-kicked kickoff in a football game.
Is that legal?
I don't know, and we can take the 17 seconds it takes for you guys to look this up. It happened in the Monday Night Football game tonight against the Seahawks and Bears. The Seahawks sent out an Australian player who drop-kicked the kickoff. And the part that I don't understand how it's legal is the ball bounces off the ground before he kicks it.
Huh. Oh, I'm watching this video. Let's see. Yup, it bounces off the ground. He just kicks it. It just looks like a normal kickoff, and he returns it.
When are they allowed to move? When he drops the ball? When it bounces? Like how?
I think he has to kick it. I think
he has to make contact with it before anyone can cross the line.
But I didn't know he was allowed to hold it.
You're definitely allowed to hand hold a football for kickoff, so maybe that's part of that rule.
So wait, can the kicker hold the ball and kick it himself?
Someone can hold the ball no matter what, because they have wind where it blows it off the tee.
Okay, so then in that case, they're saying that this person is just doing that person's job, so this is fine?
I guess.
I mean, he didn't advance it by dropping it, so I can't complain about that, I guess.
Yeah, but what happens when it drops the exact wrong way and bounces away from him? Like, what is the rule?
That's going to be a big problem for him.
No, just what's the rule governing this, right? If it doesn't bounce towards him, he doesn't kick it, it's a start over. How many times does he get to try?
It has to go 10 yards, right? Isn't that the rule? If it doesn't go 10 yards, then it's not a legal kick, and it's like a penalty?
It's got to go 10 yards before you can touch it. The receiving team can touch it whenever.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Many rules questions I have about this, and I hope that this coming week we will see the league clarify what the heck the rules are.
Apparently I said it's the rules are you can do that because he did it and no one said anything.
I said it's Fitzmagic time, which I assume none of us have on their roster, but it might not just be him. Does anyone have Patrick Mahomes on their roster?
I did not roll with Mahomes this week. I should have, apparently.
Wow.
Yeah,
6
NFL
touchdowns?
NFL record, 10 TDs in your first 2 starts. 6 in this week.
22 years old.
Youngest player ever to have a 6-touchdown game.
Yeah, I don't think it's the most, because I'm pretty sure I remember a couple 7-touchdown games, but the kid is certainly on fire, and if...
The best Mahomes meme maybe this week was Patrick Mahomes, which Hall of Fame in his names instead of...
Okay.
I don't know.
I like that.
I got it.
Yeah. Anyway, how did everybody do? I can lead it off. I was in the camp of I'm not going to win all weekend, especially with the Sunday night football game having occurred the way it did, and Odell Beckham getting 5 points, which was despicable.
I will say that I'm happy that he got a low number of points because I'm playing against him this week.
Sure.
But
however,
it's very low.
It kept me in the vein of not thinking that I could win. I was down too many points. And then the Bears' defense went off tonight, and I thought, man, if Odell Beckham had a week, I'd be winning this game. Looked in my league score, and of course, would have beaten everyone else in the league.
One of those weeks, yeah.
Week 2, and we're already...
The worst.
In the worst position imaginable.
I got absolutely blown out on Thursday night in one of my leagues. Just AJ Green just went nuts and destroyed my team. And then that continued with the rest of my team underperforming that week. And in my work league, I'm doing better. I'm up by a few points after the unimpressive performance by Mr. Beckham Jr. and a middling performance by the Bears' Allen Robinson. So I should be out of the range of stat corrections, but I suppose you never know. So I'm squeaking by there, which is nice.
Nice.
Yeah, so I started out on a high because I have Big Ben, who did his best to keep pace with Mahomes, and had almost 45 points for me. And then, so I thought I was
sitting here with 17 points. Ugh.
I thought I was in a good place, and then the Arizona and LA Rams game happened.
Wow.
And not only do I have David Johnson, I was up against Todd Gurley.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the discrepancy there was a 26-point swing not in my favor.
Not great.
But fortunately, coming down the stretch for Detroit last night was Golden Tate, who scored just enough points for me to get a 1.2 point margin of victory.
That's pretty good. We'll take it, right?
Which then got taken away by a Yahoo error and then restored by a correction to the Yahoo error overnight.
Oh, God.
Yeah, apparently they blocked PAT counts the same as a blocked kick, so my defense got 2, and then an hour after that game ended, the 2 points mysteriously disappeared. Like Yahoo just took them back off the scoring line.
How did everybody do on their waivers this past week? Maybe pick the best pickup you got?
I picked up George Kittle in a league, which turned out to be not great because he only got 3 points this week after I lost Delaney Walker. So
I wouldn't drop him, though.
Oh, no, I'm not. But it was more of I had hoped for more and got nothing. But, my opponent was playing, what's the tight end on Andrew Luck's team?
Jack Doyle?
Jack Doyle, who also did nothing. So I guess it wasn't too big of a deal.
Tight ends have not been so great. Evan Ingram did get a touchdown in garbage time for me, but
whoever that Steelers tight end is got like 45 points or whatever, which that'll never happen darn again. Sure will never happen again. Yeah.
Yep.
He will get 0 for the rest of the season. You can guarantee that.
Yeah, I made 2 pickups actually. I got Cobb, who had kind of a quiet day.
How did you get Cobb? Small league.
I don't know how he didn't get. I mean, I'm in an 8-person league, so there are always going to be people on the waiver wire who are, how are they not on a team?
Right.
He's not the number one, yeah. So
yeah, and then I also picked up Chris Thompson
that was a good pickup.
Who has had 2 very good games so far. So that will be actually a really good replacement for Mixon.
Yeah, that's going to hurt my team. I picked up Javorius Buck Allen, this past week, who did get 10 points, but didn't carry a lot. He got a touchdown in there. But that's the closest thing I have to a replacement to my Joe Mixon running back situation. And I know Derrick Henry is not going to cut it. And I'm considering, I have Latavius Murray sitting here waiting for Dalvin Cook to go down, but I don't think I can hold him these coming weeks while Mixon's out.
At least Mixon's not on IR. They're saying it's 2 to 4 weeks.
I have the other end of the Tennessee running back struggle where I have Dion Lewis, who also didn't do great this week, but apparently had more rushing attempts.
Have to wait.
Yeah,
because
I just don't know what to do with that because the guy did. Maybe he didn't do awesome last week, but he got like 9 points or something, which is kind of what you expect from the number 2. And this week he got like 4.
I think we have to wait until Marcus Mariota's back.
Yeah, it's true. It was the backup, so. And Drew Brees was not his characteristic self this week either. So
no, and that, going from 31 last week to 17 this week,
it hurts.
That right there, that if Odell Beckham puts up a normal receiver game, 10 points, and Drew Brees comes back to his normal self at 24, I won my game.
Yeah, it's really frustrating when you look at Drew Brees with 17 and Michael Thomas, his receiver, with almost 25. And you're like, well, what happened here?
I have Michael Thomas.
You want to hear a frustrating stat is Cam Newton. I'm playing against Cam Newton over here with 27 points, and I've got Christian McCaffrey with no touchdowns.
And I have that same statistic. I'm against Cam Newton.
Noticed
and have McCaffrey.
Other than Evan Ingram, I have no touchdowns on my roster, except from obviously a quarterback, but. So 1 touchdown on my roster minus the quarterback. And on his roster, every player has a touchdown at least.
Let's see. How did I
still managed to come within 7 points.
Actually, the only guy on my team with touchdowns is Michael Thomas, and those are both from Drew Brees.
Wow.
And no one else has any. But he played the Baltimore defense, which turns out to be a bad move. They got minus points. And then Odell and Larry Fitzgerald didn't do great, so I covered it in the.
Roethlisberger saved me on the touchdown front, other than Thomas.
Sometimes the high floor plan is just good enough to squeak by.
Yep,
that's my Cooper Kupp play.
Dude, that guy's a legit option, man. I would have, if I had him on that team, I would have been playing him over Dion Lewis.
Well, he's in my keeper, and I got him last year. So I think I keep him in the 10th round, so he'll be an 8th rounder next year. Not bad.
Oh, that's a great spot.
Pretty good value, yeah.
Yeah, this will be my 2nd year with him, so. I don't know. Mike Williams needs to get involved in the Chargers, and then I've got a real good 1-2 in the low rounds on wide receivers.
Yeah. I know that Melvin Gordon?
Yeah.
Is still very involved because he had 27 points against me this week.
You know who went off? Sammy Watkins, finally.
Talk about a guy whose career went from being a bunch to nothing for a couple years, and then he shows up out of nowhere.
Well, he went to the Bills.
Well, yeah, there you go.
What else happens when you go to the Bills? I don't understand. It's like 2 teams voluntarily decided to just be bad all of a sudden. I guess we should talk about Josh Gordon.
Yeah, speaking of players making the news going places.
Yeah, well, at least he didn't go to the Bills.
Yeah, he went to the Patriots.
Do you think he had a lot of say in that?
No.
Okay.
Obviously not.
No, because I saw something that said that his preferences were Dallas and San Francisco.
Or did he even know the Patriots were in the game?
I don't think he gets any say in the matter. It's just like, where is the team going to deal him and who will give them the most?
Sure.
And it's Mungo only pawn in game of life.
So removing the fact that the Browns are really dumb,
Yes.
What do you think of Pat's Josh Gordon?
He's a guy who definitely will probably benefit from the football knowledge they claim to instill in all their players. I hope he's good. I don't know. I think he has the potential to be a really good player.
Does it move him up to like a top 10?
I think with anyone who goes to the Pats, it's just a question of how well is he going to fit into the system.
Yeah, because you can't assume that they're even going to give him any looks if he doesn't run the route exactly the way they want it, right? Does he fit in the Edelman box? Does he fit in the Chris Hogan box? Does he fit in the, whichever other weird route running box do they want him in? And Tom Brady spreads the ball around, so you don't really have any kind of, like, if you're talking about purely from a fantasy perspective, if people that drafted him are probably holding on to him, I assume. But beyond that, giant question marks.
Yeah. Unless your name is Gronk.
Yeah, it's like Gronk and Tom Brady, the two people you can trust on the Patriots for fantasy, and then no one else. Well, week 2 is definitely in the books by the time this comes out, so...
Absolutely, yeah, and we'll be moving on to week 3. They feel a little slightly on tilt, but not depressed.
I will say that this week was very stressful because almost all my points and almost all my players came in the second half of their games.
Oh.
And that's very frustrating when you have like 70% of your roster playing in the 10 a.m. games and then no points come in until like 11:30 or 12, and you're like, I have 7 people. I have no points. What's happening? But we did get there, so...